Workers' Day celebration, essentially, what is it about? And of course, is this just an annual ritual wherein governors make speeches and of course at the end of the day, nothing is done to improve the working conditions of an average Nigerian worker? What are they doing about the welfare, motivation, and every other thing that will make Nigerian workers perform optimally? When you look at the situation of the economy today, then you will know that the approved national minimum wage, which is 70,000 naira, is nothing but a stipend. We have someone joining us in the studio this morning to take a look at the International Workers' Day celebration 2025. We have with us in the studio Babajide Obafemi, political editor, Lagos Indicator, and of course SSA to Kogi State Governor on Community Engagement West. I hope I got it right.
Yes.
Good morning.
Good morning.
And happy Workers' Day.
Happy Workers' Day to you. Happy Workers' Day to Nigeria workers. Happy Workers' Day to those who work with the government and those who are work with the private sector. And also, happy new month to you all.
All right. So I think the best way to start this morning, let me trigger your conscience, or let me prick your conscience, so to say.
Right.
As a worker in Nigeria, are you happy with the condition that you are today?
It's a mixed question, and
give us mixed answers.
We'll do a mixed reaction, mixed answer. No one can be happy with the state of the economy of the nation as it is, and the workers' take home and welfareism. No one can be completely happy. But if you now look at the economy itself and how the government is trying to juggle around it and get Nigeria working, then you will know that there's hope for Nigerian workers, for average citizens of Nigeria, for all of us. There's hope.
Sorry, when you say there is hope, a lot of people will not agree with you because we can't see hope. So when you say there is hope, can you enlighten us? Maybe we'll begin to see the light.
Okay, so as we speak presently, you will know that the government of the day, having inherited a lot of liabilities, bad images, and all that, trickling down from successive government. I'm not saying the last government handed over, but I'm saying it started long time ago. And so you see that the present government is trying to right a lot of wrongs in a law, trying to put infrastructure, trying to do more of infrastructure, trying to, as we speak today, if, okay, so one of the issues that we may raise is that there's high cost of fuel, like subsidy was removed and all that, but it has helped the government of the day to increase the state allocation. There are some governors that if the state allocation is not increased, if what they are giving them from the FAC is not increased, some state government today will not be able to pay salaries. Some state government will not be able to do some infrastructural development that they are doing. Right now, the federal government is doing a lot, like we talk about the coastal road that is going to, that starts from Lagos and terminates at, I think, Akwa Ibom. So, and then we talk about, there's so many ongoing projects. We talk about student loan. We talk about, there's a lot of things to talk about. And there's a lot of things to give us hope. And, you know, government is continuum. If you look at the present government, they are trying to not to stop. You know, a lot of government now, when they come in, a lot of people, when they take over government, they leave the projects that have been done by their predecessor to do their own project that will bear their name. But this government is not doing that. So government is continuing. Okay. I believe there's hope.
Because we are talking about the plight of the Nigerian workers, I want us to be very, very frank and objective this morning.
Yeah.
It is quite commendable that government is trying to improve the infrastructure in the country. When you compare the lifestyle of the political class to that of the Nigerian worker, I cannot feed my daughter with 70,000 naira in a month, and that's the reality of today.
Okay.
They live in affluence. We see it. They flaunt it before us. Would you say that government is fair to the workers of Nigeria?
All right, so I'll answer it this way. In sincerity, the present minimum wage cannot be fair.
Thank you.
Okay.
That's it, insincerity.
All right.
And there's no amount you want to give to Nigerian workers right now. Okay, don't let me say there's no amount, but I don't think, okay, so there's no amount you want to give them that will look so fair, judging by what the economy is saying, judging by, you know, I don't deal with this paper economy that people churn out and all that. I deal with the practical economy, going to the market, what you buy and all that. At least I'm a married man and I know what I give to my wife and I know her complaint and all that. But again, you have to look in the direction of, is it convenient, is it easy for the government also to pay more than 70,000?
Well, it's easy for them to live in affluence.
Well, that's what a lot of people have been saying, that the government too needs to cut down lifestyle, cut down on costs, governance, on how to, on travel expenses and all that. Yes, it's just good to talk about that. It's good to say that. And, you know, a lot of people too are beginning to see politics as a means to an end. This also, we are supposed to look into that. If leadership and politics becomes not very interesting, as in what they get there is not like, you know, people
it's
will,
not juicy.
It's not juicy. You will see that those who want to go into politics and leadership will be those who are truly looking for a way to serve.
Okay, yes, you just pointed out that 70,000 is not fair enough.
Yeah.
But even this 70,000, some governors are not paying it, and some are even paying below the approved the approved wage. Now, is this not worrisome that they cannot even uphold or honor the agreement of the law, the agreement rather with the labor unions, and then this has already been signed into law? It is a law. Don't you find it worrisome?
It is. It is because, first, before the agreement was made, there were committees. I think they had tripartite committees, and there was a lot of back and forth and all that before the agreement. And we see some state government that are even paying more. Lagos State is paying more. Rivers is paying more. Kogi State is paying more. There are just few states that is even paying the 70,000. It's either they are paying 72, 70. And I think I can beat my chest to tell you that Kogi State started first. And other states too took it up. But we have a lot of states that are paying more. So it is worrisome. It is not good. It is an aberration for those governors, for those state governments that are not paying the minimum wage right now. Because I can tell you for a fact that what they are getting now
has tripled.
Yes, has tripled from the federal government. The allocation that they go cap in hand every month to take is much more than what they have.
So what's the problem?
So the problem is some governors, I cannot really say, so that for the sake of not putting them on the spot. But I think there are some states, there are some governors who inherited debts, serious debts, when they got into government. You know, sometimes governance is like a case of what you see versus what you get. You know, sometimes when you are on this social media, what I ordered versus you will see some clothes, you see some shiny, and you order. What they will bring for you is, because I found myself in positions of leadership, you know, that I will contest and I will go out campaign. I will say, once I just win like this, next week we start doing this. And when you get in, you say, wow, is this what is inside? Is this what is happening here? And so you now need to start readjusting. But to be frank, to be very sincere, I don't think any governor or any government of any state should take workers' welfare with levity. I think they should take workers' welfare with priority. I think what comes first, I think what makes you popular is, one, regular payment of salary. Just make sure you pay good salaries. Whatever is left, just do your projects, the ones that will affect life. Infrastructural project, you become popular. One of the things that is making the governor of Kogi State popular is that within 17th and 22nd of every month, your salary is there. You get alert up to the local government level. So you will always be popular when you pander to the welfareism of workers. And I think it's not fair enough, really.
Okay, so fine, the 70,000 naira was approved nationally as the national minimum wage, and just like Joy cited that some governors are not paying. What do you think should be done to improve the working conditions of Nigerian workers aside from the national minimum wage? What are the other perks that can be added by government so that this inflation rate that we are facing in the country would at least ease off with some of these perks?
Okay, so I was just going through some things this night and even this morning while I was in the studio, and I think there are a lot of cultures that we have lost that we don't do again. Aside payment of the monthly, I don't even want to call it salary. Probably I should just call it stipend or something. I think one of the things government should look into is periodic
Review?
No. Periodic, you know, when you send workers to periodic training.
Okay.
Periodic I think that is lost in the system. If you check, down to the states, they need periodic training. They need periodic assessment. You know, when you go to some offices, you just find out that those people that they either employ square peg in round holes, or people are not trained to handle their stuffs. And so if people are trained, well trained, and they are periodically trained, you find out that a lot of people after retirement or before retirement would even want to probably just say, okay, I'm well trained now, I can stand on my own. Probably I can just resign and then just go on my own and, you know, start doing things by myself and all that. And, you know, the way people handle government job, they handle it as if it's not my father's job. That's another thing that is not, sometimes leadership
But don't you think that if the pay is better, wouldn't they show more commitment?
No, I think this is endemic.
Because motivation is key if you want to get the best out of your staff.
Even if you go to private sector, my brother, if you go to private sector that are well paid, the way some staffs attend to you, you'll be sick. It's there in the bank. I was in the bank yesterday. I had network issues. I went to the bank. The way they were attending to people, I won't mention the name of the bank. It's not, and you will know that these people are even better paid. It's not. You now think, are they trained? Were these people trained? Did they go through any? We travel out of the country and we see what is tenable there. You understand? It starts from even our home.
You mean those on the counter?
Those on the counter, those at even the
Because
management
those
level.
on the counter, they are contract staff.
Most of them.
Most of them.
But even the management staff, where you see somebody at the management level, at maybe the head of customer care and all that, coming to talk customer care, coming to address customers. To the point that I was even saying, how much do you even have yourself that you are?
So what do you think is the missing link?
I think we have indisciplined culture. We are just people with serious indiscipline issue. Trust me.
Would you say it's indiscipline issue or mental health? Because again, when a worker is not properly taken care of, when you don't feel like the welfare is not adequate for you, it can affect your mental health and definitely will affect your productivity at work.
It can, but there's something we call dignity in labor.
Is there still dignity in labor?
So dignity in labor for me is driving and seeing how one policeman around here does his work. With a lot of, I've stopped and given him money severally. So I was impressed. Dignity in labor is being courteous. See, everybody is going through something. You can, if you open our hearts, we're just covering up with clothes. So if you will ask
the politicians are not covering anything.
They are.
They are living large.
Sir, if you go into their life, so then we can talk about that off camera. If you go into their, it's not only about happiness. It's not money. It's not about money. It's not about you being in the AC. Happiness. You see, when you go and x-ray their life, their children, their personal life, some of them are just using that position to
cover up,
to mask up. Sometimes you just find out that you are even more happier.
So, back to
I raised the issue of
Joy's
mental
question.
health. Yeah.
Okay, so mental health. And mental health.
And then you mentioned dignity in labor.
Okay, dignity in labor and mental health. Okay, so when I was growing up, years back, we really don't, I'm sorry to say, and I don't want to be quoted, we really don't even know what is mental health. We don't know what is mental health. We just, it was like when a Nigerian footballer committed suicide and they interviewed another footballer, he's an Igbo guy, and he said, I'm still finding it hard to believe the Igbo know they commit suicide. You know, it's yes, mental health these days. Now we are beginning to, and a lot of people are really weaving a lot of things around mental health. Some people are badly brought up. Some people will just badly behave. And you say, there are people that if you pay, if you really give much more money, they will be more rude. They will. So yes, we can talk about mental health, yes. If people are well remunerated, yes. But you will find out again that we have to still praise this present government for even wanting to raise the workers' salary and raising it to this standard and explaining to them that, come, we cannot do more than 70,000 because we cannot borrow. And it's another problem for us to borrow to pay. It's not sustainable. So I agree that we might be fighting with mental health, but I'm also saying that we should not use that as a cover-up. Everything must not be about mental health. If you're trying to do this and it's not working, so it's already affecting my mental health.
Okay, so with everything that is going on now, how do you expect a worker to, put in his or her all and still be productive at what he or she does?
Okay, so I said the other time when he asked me the question, I said, workers should be trained. They should go through periodic training. Trust me, they should go through periodic training. And I think they should be well remunerated. So I think the minimum wage should be something that is under constant review. And I think we should now start thinking of living wage. And one of the things that we are not even looking into is that this minimum wage what is the percentage of the Nigerian workers? So there are a lot of people that doesn't work with the government, doesn't even work with the private sector. So how do they live? What is their own take home? There are people, I know friends that have graduated for over 20 years, never used their certificate one day. So if we're talking about minimum wage for workers, what about those who are outside, who are not within the workforce, and they are making life? So basically, I think the government should just do whatever is in the best interest of the nation to tinker with the economy. And once we get this balance, it will trickle down both to the Nigerian workers and to those who are not Nigerian workers. Because if you look at it, I don't think the I don't think Nigerian workers constitute 20% of the population. Of Nigeria.
So the review now, how constant should it be? And you know, we have said so much about government. Let's also look at the approach of labor leaders these days. Gone were those days when we had the likes of Pascal Bafia,
Yeah.
and I can't remember the others now. Looking at their approach, do you think the strategy they are using, is it getting them value from government? And of course, is there need for them to change?
Honestly, that's one of the things. That's one of the questions I was expecting you to ask me. And you really did ask. And I have to be very sincere with you. I do not think, I think the strategy of going on strike all the time is a bit obsolete. I think government is used to it.
Yeah, because government don't keep to agreements. They will keep postponing, they will keep procrastinating, and at the end of the day, Labour will have no choice than to go on strike. That is when they will listen. So look at the case of ASU.
Yeah.
It dragged on for years.
Okay, and ASU was able to actually, at the end of the day, come to the table to discuss. They didn't really get all what they wanted.
They've gotten it now. They just paid them 50 billion, all the allowances that you're owing them.
Yeah, but you know, can we make up for the days of this strike? It affects our children. It affects our brothers. It affected people. It affected lives. It cannot be strike all the time. My brother, if your children knows that the only punishment is caning. Yeah, while I was growing up, I was a bit heady, and sometimes when I like going to play football, and I already know that I'll be beaten when I come home late. Say when I come home, anything after 6. So once I ask on the field, I ask, please help me check the time. And it's 6 o'clock. I just wait there and play.
Because you know.
I'm going to. I know the number of king. But the day the strategy changed, and so it now had to affect my dinner. It's not going to be cane again. Cane, and then I'll lose my dinner. Me too, I changed strategy. I knew I had to come. So we need to, I don't, sometimes, you know, what we hear about labor leader is not, because if you look at it too, go and check the lifestyle of these labor leaders too, you see that they're living in affluence and all that. So you think, where do they get all this from?
I was once a labor leader. I'm not living in affluence.
Well,
maybe some of them.
Well, the truth is that out of every 100, you still see sincere 10, sincere 5, sincere 3. Maybe you are one of the sincere 3. Maybe you are one of the sincere 10.
Or maybe I've not been tempted enough.
Or maybe you have not been tempted enough. Okay. Maybe you have not seen Ghana Must Go. Good Ghana Must Go.
I've seen Ghana Must Go.
Okay, maybe you have not seen dollars.
So how do we find the balance now between labor, government will sign an agreement and will drag on for years to keep it?
It's not good. It's not good for... Once government should be sincere, honestly, because if you say you are government, who are you governing over? People. So once you're bringing an agreement to the table, you have... And labor should always think far. Labor should always think ahead. Since you know that you have a heady government, just think ahead. Start the strategy from now. This is what we're going to do. This is what we're going to do. This is what... Now, recently, you see that government is even cowing in labor. So labor is already looking like toothless bulldog and all that. There are some states that their labor leader cannot even venture go on strike. I know a state there. Labor leader had to run away from the state. Run for a long time. Because they were looking for him. If he did, he was compromised, and if he dare says he wants to, he's going to pay heavily with his life. That's the ultimate price to pay for leading people. And so if you are not Jesus Christ, I don't think you want to lay down your life for... Yeah, people still say they want to lay down their life. I don't see sincerity in what they say. And, you know, we talk about civil society. Do we really even have civil society? Really, let's just be practical with ourselves. Now, I know there's going to be serious backlash from what I'm saying, but that's the truth. That's the truth. Do we really have civil society? Do we really have sincere labor leaders? Do we? You just talk about Pascal Bafia. That was the only name that came into, quickly resonated. There was a reason. There was a reason why the name resonated. You understand? It was because of these antecedents. There are presidents, there are people in Nigeria. When we talk about good governance, there are names in Lagos State, names that will quickly come into you quickly start talking about Babajide Obafemi, you talk about Asiwaju Bola Tinubu, you talk about Fashion and other governors. When we talk about bad presidents in Nigeria, if you say, okay, mention one very tough president, bad president, that you quickly, there's a name that will come immediately as we are in the studio. So these things resonate. We know what Oshiomhole did when he was Labour leader. How tough he was with Obasanjo.
With his khaki.
Yes, with his khaki. Always still wearing the khaki. I wonder how many khaki the one has.
All right, so if you're saying that strike is not the best foot to put forward, if you were to prefer solutions or strategies that the labor union can take on, what would it be?
Okay, so this question now is supposed to be going to him,
because he's a labor leader.
Yes, yes. So he's the one that is supposed to be answering this question. But let me just, I don't really know. I've never been a member of any labor union or something. But I believe in conversation. I believe a lot in dialogue. I also believe in strike. But I believe in giving people a very long rope to pull. I believe in extensive conversation, so much so that when I act, there will be little or less fault. If I've been telling you, I'll beat you, and I've been saying this since last year, and now I beat you. People will say, boy, he has told you, don't do this. And so I don't like this idea of seeing labor leaders going for discussion and they just burst out of the
meeting.
Yeah, I don't see it as civil. I don't see it as I think labor leaders should know how to approach the government, approach those committees that they are going to talk to. And I think if they are going to burst out of meeting, it should be as a result of, sometimes labor leaders go for discussion without being, I'm sorry to use this word, without being realistic. I remember when they were discussing this minimum wage and they were presenting that they want to be collecting, is it 600,000 or 400 or something thousand as minimum wage? And I was talking to a journalist, and when we saw it, and the journalist said, we think there's more good here now. Because sincerely, you have to look at the economic indices, what's on the table. Don't even let the government say what is on the table. Is it realistic? It cannot be. So it won't work once you go with a unrealistic demands and approach. So I think we should always look into dialogue. Then I think we should always also look into the books of international labor organizations. How did they achieve this? How did they? So can we, are there steps we can adopt for ourselves to be able to get
the results?
Okay, we have said so much about labor leaders now. I'll take it back to government again. Do you think it is responsible of any government as well to wait until you are prompted to take actions? Because they are the policy, they implement all the policies that we have in the country. They know what is happening. They look at the economic indices, the rate of inflation, and of course the value of our currency. They know what the purchasing power of an average Nigerian worker is. And so when they invite labor leaders for meetings and you are tabling before them figures that are ridiculous, the labor leaders will have no choice than to work out on you, because they know what you're saying is not realistic when they compare it to what you are taking home as a political class.
I think it's always like a bait, a try to catch me thing. The government already knows that. Sometimes they already know that they want to do 100,000, but they don't want to start from that there, because they know that there will be a lot of back and forth. So they will present 20,000.
So why must it always be like you're pricing people?
So it's always like that. That's sometimes insincerity in the part of government, and because of the fact that they know what labor tool could be. You understand? And like, I want to agree with the question you asked, and I want to agree totally that a sincere government truly should not wait for, yes, sometimes you may just think you can't do this now, and you just look away, say, he's looking away. Then labor will remind you, no, we need this. But I think a sincere government also should not look away, especially on staff welfareism, on workers' welfareism. Yes, that's the only. You tell them not to do PP, to do private practices and all that. So then they have to be well taken care of, at least to be able to take care of their wards and themselves. So if we can put policies in place to look like what she asked me, and I agree that there should be periodic review, probably 2 years or 4 years.
There's only 3 now, every 3 years.
Every 3 years. And so if government is sincere with that, there should be a percentage to the review. So we all know that we don't need to go on strike. Okay, we know that in another 3 years, we are moving from 70 to maybe 75,000, maybe 73,000, maybe 80,000. So then, after a long time, if the economy is still a bit shadowy and not good, then Labour will now be writing or asking for review again, going by the fact of what is happening in the economy.
Okay, but before we let you go this morning, Joy earlier cited that some state governments have not started paying the 70,000 naira. And when you look at the pages of newspaper today, Labour is already complaining that the 70,000 naira is nothing, is not worth anything anymore. Is that not an indication that government should start thinking of ways to augment the pay of workers in Nigeria before Labour will come again?
Yes, that's one of the things I just said now, that Labour should start agitation earlier.
It's on now.
It's on. So it's good. It's a welcome development. You get it. So now this minimum wage was approved last year, July.
Yeah.
So we have, it's already going to be 1 year. So we are looking at another 1.5 years again for a review, and a very good review by percentage, if it was part of the agreement. So, and if we're going to do, we're hoping that the way the government is trying to put now our debt, our foreign reserve is getting bigger. The debt that Nigeria is being cleared and all that. So we are hoping for a better economy now. We're hoping for respite. Now we are getting foreign investors. There's this trusting now. The people are beginning to come and all that. So once the dollar is a bit stable and all that, now we see that petrol this thing is a bit on the distance. So we're expecting a better economy, and we're expecting that the monthly allocation to states will be better, I think, and through their VAT and all that, we're already seeing that it should get better. And so if it's getting better, people should feel it, not the people in government. It should trickle down.
Yeah.
So, and that still takes us back to the fact that people in government should reduce
the cost of governance.
Cost of governance, so that it can trickle down. People can, it's also Nigerians are people that are very easy to satisfy. People that
they just want the basic.
They just want the basic. So when there's ease in the economy, when people are beginning to feel the impact, you will hear it, you will know. You don't need to listen too much. It's like somebody drumming at the back of your window. You don't need to listen, except you are deaf to hear. You don't really need. So when it eases, you don't need to start asking people to go around the town to do research.
To blow your trumpet.
Yeah, and you don't.
All right, that's a very interesting place to end our conversation this morning on the celebration of the International Workers' Day. And we have heard from Babajide Obafemi, political editor, Lagos Indicator, and SSA to the Kogi State Governor on community engagement West. Of course, he gave different portions to the government and, of course, to the Nigerian workers on the need for labor leaders to be up and doing, and government should also be sincere when negotiating with labor leaders so that we can also find a balance wherein an average Nigerian worker can actually take their pay home instead of the gate of their office premises. We say congratulations to all the Nigerian workers celebrating the May Day today, and we hope that next year when we come back again to celebrate today, it will be better. And of course, some of us who are yet to get our minimum wage would have gotten it by then. That's the show today. We thank you very much for watching. We'll see you again tomorrow at 10. I am Ajibola Ojeshola.
And I am Joy Olu. I am hoping that by this time next year, we will sing a new song.
Oh, hopefully.
Enjoy the rest of your day.
Your hope would have been renewed.
Looking for a program that would keep you informed, get you involved, and make your voice count? Then tune in to Citizens Gate, where we'll update you about government activities and the issues that may be affecting your community. On Citizens Gate, you also have the opportunity to communicate with government office holders and let them know how you feel and where the shoe pinches. With Citizens Gate, you are literally a stakeholder.